Every spring grip season, we have a goal to raise the temperature of personal outreach. We've been doing this, you've already seen it in our grip guide, the passages and the principles we're focusing on. Monday nights during our equipping time, we're looking at principles and skills for outreach. Our key 3 action points, we're asking that one of those would be the action point of moving your friend who's far from God a little bit closer to God. And so we want you to have this mindset of prayer, care, share throughout this whole season of grip. So now we want to challenge you with something. And that challenge is this, that each grip team would host an outreach event where you can invite your friend who's far from God. At Focus Living, we call these events wired events. Perry, you've been at Focus Living longer than anybody. Why do we call them wired events?
Funny you should ask, Dave. Got a wire nut that I've had on my keychain for about 40 years, and it reminds me for me to stay connected to God and wired to Him, but also to help others, because if you're not connected to God vitally, you're screwed. And guys need to hear that in every area of their life, to be connected to God.
Okay. In some of our events, you might even hand out some of those wired nuts.
In fact, we're going to hand them out to all the grip guys.
Okay. So what's the goal of this challenge? What would you say, Carl?
Simply to make a connection with your friend who's far from God that will lead to further conversations, right? So just to open the door to a conversation about a relationship with God.
Okay, awesome. And we do it in community, so we can meet each other's, kind of pinky finger guy and make connections, maybe find some common ground. If my guy's, into golf and one of my grip guys is into golf, they might have this great connection with each other. Okay.
I think it's also important at this time that we see this as just one step in the process of them receiving or rejecting Christ.
Yeah. So we're going parallel. Each of us are trying to focus on our guy throughout the season in a variety of ways: prayer, care, share. And here we have this event. So let's utilize this event to add value to what we're already doing. Okay. So what kind of event would be good? Let me kind of answer that. One answer is, what would be fun and meaningful for our pinky finger guy, right? Mm-hmm. But what are some ideas for guys to think about in terms of event?
Well, one of the events that we've had in the past, a movie called Like Arrows, which talks about the importance of fatherhood and, sort of preparing your kids for their life. And so those are the kinds of things that our group are discussing, is how can we get even ourselves as well as our pinky guy focused on really looking at your children and the heritage that you're going to leave for them.
Okay, so hosting a movie night. With a great meaning to the movie, and then discussing afterwards. Okay.
My guys are all young fathers. They're stressed out, struggling with priorities. So that's what we're going to do. One on come with questions about how does God say practically to deal with stress and priorities in your life. Okay.
So guys bring a question, and then so that will require someone to be able to answer those questions. Look at the Bible. What does the Bible have to say? So Focus Living staff could be available for any team that wants to do something like that.
Okay. There's another team that has all of them shoot guns and stuff, so they're going to take their guys shooting and ask the question, "What is your aim in life?" Just even asking that question in much whole couple hours of shooting is meaningful.
Okay. Yeah, I love those options where it's an event that we're going to together, because some guys it's easier for them to say yes to a shooting event or come watch March Madness at my house and have some ribs and some wings and stuff. And then in that moment, you have a guy share whether it's your aim in life or how God has been working in your own life.
Okay. So the sky's the limit in terms of, what event. I mean, it could be a pickleball tournament or, a cornhole tournament or a backyard grilling out. Disc golf, whatever. So what makes the event an outreach event then? So those, any event could work, but what makes an outreach event?
I think it's important that maybe having one person share, maybe 5 minutes, their personal testimony, what drew them to the Lord, what caused them to look at, getting their life and aiming their life, if we're talking about aiming, or the subject or whatever the matter may be, have someone share a personal testimony. I think that's impactful.
Okay. I love the simplicity of that. Like, it's not this massive gospel presentation, but it's this is the reality of God in my life, and this is why I am focused on living for Him.
Yes.
Okay. So if I invite my friend who's far from God to that, won't he feel blindsided if that happens?
Not if we let them know up front.
Okay.
So in the invite, whether it's a written invitation or whatever, you need to let them know that at some point someone's going to mention what God is doing in his life and how encouraged he is with that.
Okay.
Yeah, super important not to blindside them, make them feel like a project. And that's the easy part is, hey, we're doing an event, we're having a party, but I'm going to have a friend, share about what God's doing in his life.
Okay. What if your friend, let's say you invite one or two guys and they decline the invitation? What do I do with that?
Even the declining of an invitation is a step moving them towards Christ, because you're taking initiative to love them and so forth. And you can always tell them afterwards, hey, this is what we did at the event. Hope you can come to the next one. And you can summarize the guy. Man, my buddy Jim, he talked about how excited he was that God's repairing and restoring his marriage. It was a really neat time.
Okay. So even using the invitation as an opportunity to have that conversation
Absolutely.
and following up after the event. Okay, excellent. So all of us are Grip Team Shepherds. We have pretty big teams. What if our team can't decide on an event that would be fun and meaningful for the pinky finger guys in our team?
Well, the next couple of weeks, we'll share with all the Grip guys what all the different teams are doing. So if my guys are interested in fatherhood, but we're going to be doing something on stress, they can go to one with Carl or something if he's going to do that. If they just want to hang out and do March Madness, well, it'd be an easy invite anywhere. If you can't do it at your Grip table, you can go with somebody else's.
Okay.
Yeah, the big purpose of the outreach anyway is for us to be on each other's team, right?
Yeah.
We're in this together, so there's going to be the cross-pollination, if you will.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What about the COVID social distancing? Jerome, why don't you speak to that one?
Yeah, I think it's important to let them know that we're going to practice social distancing, so that we want to have the event in a place where we can have spacing, where we can feel comfortable, and if some desire to wear mask wearing will be done, so that we are following the guidelines, doing our very best to make it a safe environment for them.
Okay.
So a large venue or an outdoor venue.
Yeah.
Something safe.
That's great. Yeah. A year ago, we wouldn't have had to ask that question. That wouldn't have been a
Yeah.
concern. Yeah. Also, just reminded, most of our events you don't want to have them at a church, probably, right? To create another barrier for your friend who's far from God, coming to church. So do it at some place that's neutral. Okay. Well, let's not overcomplicate it, right? Our goal is to get you out of your comfort zone, to do it as a team. You're not in this alone, and just see what God does.
And I think also, David, it's important that they can start priming the pump in advance. Talking to a friend, telling them about, just saying, hey, maybe we can get together at some point. And then when you talk to them about this event, you sort of already started that conversation.
Gotcha, yeah. So if the event's a couple months down the way, so we want you to have it by the end of April, and even you can utilize the March 29th grip date, if you want to use that Monday night, if that works for you guys. But between now and then, continue to connect, make those connections so that it wouldn't be kind of out of the blue,
And it's vital that as soon as you step forward in faith to do something like this, you're going to get shot at. So let's be in much prayer for your team, for your friend is far away from God, because Satan does not want this happening.
So